Well, welcome everyone. We're gonna try to arrange ourselves a little bit closer, but trying to respect a bit of social distance. As anybody heard anything about this COVID thing they say is going on? Bad joke, but yeah, if you want to move in a little bit, then we don't have to yell. We're gonna keep this place when we're sharing as a place where you can come up and take your mask off. Partially because wanting to have a place where we can take the mask off, but also we have folks tuning in on Zoom. So hi to everybody that's on Zoom. Well, I want to welcome you all on behalf of Vicky's loved ones. Many of you are Vicky's loved ones. I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you to those of you on Zoom that have joined us as well. For those that haven't met me, my name is Greg Elford, and I'm looking forward to putting a face to the name to some of you today. I already had that chance. Cam has talked about each person here, and so I'm looking forward to getting to know you more. For those watching this virtually, we thank you for taking the time to be present for this part of our collective story with Vicky. We hope you can hear us. We're going to do our best to remember that you're here, but sometimes it's hard, so we'll do our best. And maybe just as a reminder, if we could silence our cell phones, those of us that are here, we want to create some time where we're uniquely present here and now. I don't think I need to tell anyone that today marks 1 year since Vicky has passed away. Most of us were together at a different time where we had, I think, a really rich experience of thinking about Vicky, paying tribute to Vicky, hearing a eulogy, finding solidarity with others who counted her a dear friend or family member. I remember laughing, crying, and I remember that some of us even said some things that needed to be said at that time. As rich as that memorial was, there has, however, still been one aspect of how we honor those that have left us that we haven't had opportunity for on Vicky's behalf until today. So our goal today is not to try to recreate the celebration of life from last year or push ourselves to feel a certain way or even to measure our progress in grieving so far. We're simply coming together to be present to a task that brings new levels of closure, that pays honor and completes our responsibility to do right by Vicky. And that likely causes us in some ways to think of our own mortality. So can we make an agreement today, those on Zoom and those here, to let go of expectations of what this time has to be, and instead agree on being present to our memory of Vicky and being ourselves relaxed in this time? Can I get some we agrees there? Yeah, we're good? Okay. In a few minutes, we're going to create some time and space to invite one another into different memories that each of us have today as we think about Vicky. Now, there's no pressure to share, and I don't think we have a way to do it for folks on Zoom, but maybe you can do that with one another. I'm not sure. But if there's a memory that comes to mind over the next little while, we'd all love to hear how you're thinking back on Vicky today. It can just be something simple, maybe. Can I suggest that we give one another the freedom and the gift of just being present to how we feel in the moment, being okay with laughter, welcoming tears, or even numbness, which has been a feeling a lot of people describe in moments like this, or some other unexpected feeling that we don't see coming. Before we share, I want to allow a passage from 2 Corinthians to draw our thoughts to how the Apostle Paul describes passage into life that is after this life. He writes about two kinds of bodies, and listen in particular to the empathy in his words and his understanding for the inevitable failure of our human body, but the hope that he describes of life after life. He writes this in 2 Corinthians. For we know that when this earthly tent that we live in is taken down, that is when we die and we leave this earthly body, we will have a house in heaven, an eternal body made for us by God himself and not by human hands. We grow weary in our present bodies, and we long to put on our heavenly bodies like new clothing. For we will put on heavenly bodies. We will not be spirits without bodies. While we live in these earthly bodies, we groan and sigh. But it's not that we want to die and get rid of these bodies that clothe us. Rather, we want to put on our new bodies so that these dying bodies will be swallowed up by life. God himself has prepared us for this, and as a guarantee, he has given us his Spirit. In our prep for today, Cam was telling me that he and Vicky used to cycle past this place. I just can picture that today. Cam doing all the steering, Vicky doing all the pedaling. That's how tandem works, right? I picture the blue tandem bike and the Taylors on it on Taylor Road here, struggling up hills, pushing through leg cramps, hydrating, resting, getting tired, getting going again. It's a mental snapshot for me of Vicky's experience in this life. And one example, nothing like riding a bike to be aware of your physical limitations, part of being a human being. That moment of imagination, I think, is somehow comforting. Picturing the banter that I loved hearing between Vicky and Cam, especially picturing it on a tandem bike. Picturing them overcoming struggles and surgeries, pushing to climb up the big hills of life together. And picturing them enjoying the downhills that once in a while would provide some reprieve. See, memories like this of our friends and our loved ones are comforting. And when we recall Vicky's life together, we're doing it from a vantage point of relating to those experiences. We know what it feels like to have challenges in our lives and to overcome things and to push our limits, to be close to someone we care about. In the case of those around this circle, we've all experienced some part of life with Vicky personally. So we take comfort when we remember some of those memories. And doing that together is good. But Paul in this passage is offering us something else for comfort also. One that lands when we picture Vicky as first in line, from this group anyway, for a new kind of life experience. A spirit living beyond this life that takes on a new type of embodiment. No question, it isn't something we can relate to the way we could from our own experience with physical memories, but it is something that we can hope for and that we all would want for Vicky and for ourselves. When some of my memories of Vicky's experience of life caused me to feel frustrated at the things that she had to face, I like to imagine her recreated. Not in a way that I can understand, but in a way that reminds us that we'll see her again. Where limitations are less, and as Paul writes, where new life is swallowing up what was lost. So can we pause and thank God for a life on this earth where Vicky touched so many? And can we pause and thank God for the vision of something rich that Vicky knows now, that is new, that is better, and that's waiting for us? May that thought in faith bring another kind of comfort and hope for us all today. Why don't we quiet ourselves and be attentive to God who's present here with us for a minute. For those of us that are here, not virtually, it's just such a beautiful place And we're so grateful for this time to be with one another, bringing honor, bringing attention, bringing pause to think about Vicky, to remember her, to place her in the ground, to commemorate that time. So as we share stories, as we look back, as we think about experiences that we had with Vicky, we pray that again, we would allow our memories the freedom to take us into things we haven't thought of in a long time, or maybe we think of often. We pray that as we share that together, that this would be a time that uniquely equips us for the next stage of our relationship to Vicky. So we give you this time, Jesus, in your name. Amen. Well, folks, what we would love is not to have a super long time here to cause it to, that's not what makes it significant, but more so a time where we create the space and time we need to share things that are on our hearts or on our minds. And so if somebody is ready, I think what we're hoping to do for those that are able to, we don't have to be strict about it, I don't think, in this size group, but if you want to come up here, then folks on Zoom will also be able to hear you. So if someone has a memory, something, a story, something they'd like to say, we'd love if you come on up and share. Thanks, Deb.
You can take these off.
Well, I'm taking yours off. I'm putting mine on.
I just had, I have a really fond memory with Vicky. It was our last retreat that we went to together, and there was a zip line, and I'm a bit of a chicken, and she's all for adventure. So I'm like, okay, she's gonna do this with her cane and everything. I better do it with her, right? So she convinced me that, yeah, we could do this and it's fun. And she'd done it in Mexico, I think. And so I was way worse there, she said, as far as getting up to getting strapped in and all that, climbing up there. So I said, okay. So we get on this thing and I start to get like claustrophobic because they're pulling it tighter and tighter and tighter, strapping you in on all angles. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I'm looking over at Vicky and she's just sitting back, letting them do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep my eye on Vicky. We'll go down this together because it was 2 zip lines side by side. We'll get down to the bottom, it'll be over. Well, of course, Vicky's tiny and I'm not. So I'm going twice as fast as her. And instantly she's no longer in my vision. And then all I can see are these 5 birds on my line. I'm like, I'm gonna kill you guys. You better fly. Right. And they all of a sudden fly at the last second. We get to the other side and we have to get up onto this ladder, which the poor young boys that were running the thing barely got me up on the ladder. We finally get off the ladder, unhooked, and they said, wow, we hope you enjoyed the ride. How'd you like it? And she said, I hated every single minute of it. In true, I'll tell it like it is, fashion, right? And that just cracked us up. We told that story all weekend about Vicky hating every minute of that ride. Thank you very much. But we just had so many fun times together, and she was always good for an adventure, that's for sure. And yeah, she's got the greatest adventure ever right now. In heaven with Jesus.
I've never. Oh, here I go.
I've got NW napkins here.
I've never really had a female buddy until Vicky. She was a real buddy. Like, and for me, I think it's so cool these motorcycles went by, because that's some of the most fondest memories I've had is the motorcycle trips with Ken and Vicky. And how much of a great time it was just to spend that time on the road, and then going to interesting places. Vicky always seemed to be able to find the best places to eat. Most of these motorcycle trips were pre-vegan. And but yeah, we just had such great times together. And, miss her.
Somebody else?
Mommy picked you out. You're the best little thing that ever came along. Aren't you? Yeah, you are. I wanted to share for my mom too, because it's a little harder for her to come up here. But she was saying the other day how she just remembered that Vicky didn't ever complain after all she went through with the motorcycle accident. She couldn't hear out of one ear. She had balancing issues. And it's true, whenever we were with her, you just took more time. That's all. You just take time. It didn't even matter. Just do that. You're not going to be fast. You just slow down, and that's so beautiful to think of. Just slow down and take time to enjoy life, because you never know how long you're going to have. Hey, baby? Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, Gary and I lived with Vicky, and she tried her hardest to get me to go vegan. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. We had a good time together with the vegan menus. And she says, "I'm going to get you a Christmas present, but it's not. It hasn't been done yet. It hasn't been. It wasn't published yet, but she didn't want to use the word publish. So, anyways, it was July, and I was sitting out in the patio, and I hear jingle bells. And so she coming down the stairs and jingle bells, open the door, jingle bells. And so it was like Christmas in July. The vegan cookbook came in July. It was supposed to be at Christmas. So I do remember her and her jingle bell song in July. She was a fun lady, comical, but very serious too. And I loved her dearly.
So trying to line up here. We should get there looking at the trees by themselves there. So I'll come up and say a few words here now too. But yes, so obviously you know that we miss Vicky a whole lot. And because we retired out here over 20 years ago, so Vicky came by our house a lot. And we had lots of visits, and it was just something we always look forward to. And that late, she got this other dog that she has that Nancy showed you there, and she used to bring it by us and to babysit that dog for her, and just look forward to the dog. Look forward for her to come back to our place, and look forward as we did to see Vicky. And so I don't know what else to say. Was at the other service and said things there, but just that it's a beautiful place here to remember where her body is being put from this life. It's over, chapter's over, and she has a new life. And so that's something we all have much to appreciate, is the hope that lies within us. And it's been great to have these years with her, and look forward to the years we have with him and Alina still. And it's a reminder to us of Vicky and her love and our love for her too. So just want to pass that on.
How's that right there? It's good. Yeah, I thought on the way out here, I thought, what in the world would I say today? And I'm only going to say something if I have something to say. And I felt like I had something to say. When I think about Vicky, I think of, I know how much of a better person she made me. She, and even to this day, when I go and walk out in our yard her voice is still loud in my ears. Would you go and take those weeds off that rock? Because that's not where they belong, you know? And I mean, that sounds, I don't mean to sound it, but she was so right so much of the time. Like, and she helped me to become so much better. And I'm so grateful for her. I think I was out riding my bike a while ago, probably January, and what struck me was the memories of the times that we had together. And I've been doing a bit of thinking about loss, and you know, this whole year I've been thinking about loss and kind of going through that grieving journey. And I'm realizing now that, and I know Vicky would really, she would be totally cheering me on in the desire to grieve well and to live well. She was never one to complain, as somebody said. Yes, mom said that. And, you know, I would feel like complaining, my stiff knee and my this or that. It's like, no way. She would just look me in the eye and say, are you done? Have you heard me complain? Okay, you got me there. So she made me a better person. She made me a better man. She taught me so many things. And she had courage and boldness. I think of that day sitting in front of that TV. I think it was August of 1990. Okay. What's that, 30 years ago? And we see this pastor coming back from Romania, and she says, she looks over at me and she says, if he can do it, so can we. And like often, my first reaction is no way. But I prayed about it, and it was like a flashing green light. And there comes another truck. Okay. And you know, I can't say how much Caleb and Alina have blessed our lives these last 30 years. But it was Vicky's, we've got to do this. And I ended up going, of course. But she patiently waited, and we got to go back, you know, 12 years later. And so there's just a bucket load, I think a truckload, a train load of memories. And I just feel like she's given me permission, as I've grieved her loss, real permission to live. And to live with such sweet memories. And to know that, you know, just that 2 Corinthians passage, you know, her tent was in pretty rough shape. And to know that she's got a new body and that we're going to join her with a new body, to me, that is our hope. That's my hope. I look forward to that. And I thought about today, yeah, this is our final goodbye to Vicky. And I thought, no, it's not. This is our see you later, honey. It's just goodbye for now. It's a beautiful thing as I just think about that. You know, I think my tears today are just filled with joy. I've cried many, many sad tears. I've cried from deep within me over this last year, but today I just feel like I'm just so filled with joy. So grateful. The life that we had, the 36 years, the memories, the ups, the downs, the bumps in the road, the disappointments. And we've had lots of those like everybody else. But, you know, today it's like, yeah, it's just hard. It is still hard to believe that here we are, and these are her remains. But Vicky, we're going to see again, and she's waiting for us. So, and the fact that Cindy, whose remains are right over there, is with her now. I mean, that just puts a smile on my face and our faces. So this is a good day. A bad thing happened. She left us sooner than we thought, right? But it's a good day because of the hope that we have, because of the people that we have in our lives, because of the memories we can cherish. You know, it's I think that's about all I have to say.
Cam, with your permission, could we, the morning that we went over, be with you, and after Vicky had passed, and like 4 o'clock in the morning, we sang that song.
Sure.
Maybe you don't remember, but it was a lot.
No, but go ahead and lead on.
And we can
Yeah.
join. I know a few here will know it, but just the chorus. What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand, leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be.
Well, there is a finality in placing Vicky's ashes in this place in one sense. And I love how Cam reminded us that this isn't our last goodbye, but there is something significant in these moments. But as we do it, we can release ourselves to grieve more fully, to feel more deeply, to remember more clearly, and to let ourselves learn to live out what was best in her life. So I'm going to ask Cam to come and place the urn in the ground. When you're ready. Okay. Now, as we place these ashes in the ground, what has come from the earth goes back to the earth. And this is a reminder of our own humanity and the gift that God has given us. We have truly let Vicky Taylor go. Having completed this task, may we go forth in quiet with a measure of peace so that we can live out our own lives with renewed memory and a deepened love for each other. I'll end with these words, and then I think what we're thinking is the employee that works here is going to come and fill the hole, and we can stay and be part of that. But sometimes it's hard to know when to make an exit in times like this. But if you'd like to stay and be part of that,
They're gonna put some flowers down too before that.
great. Yeah. So we'll lay some flowers down, and then we'll have lots of time to stay and talk with one another and be together. But if you need to go, don't feel awkward about that. So I'll end with these words. May the truth that sets us free and the hope that never dies and the love that casts out fear be with us now in the sober reality of this moment and in the rich hope of moments with Vicky in our future. So if you folks want to lay flowers, feel free. And that's what we'll do to close.
Yeah, I got the thing. I got your phone. Take the flower. Give her a little chop. Atta girl. Atta girl. There's a thing. That scene. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Oh, beautiful.
I have a Bluetooth speaker if you want any music.
Okay.
If you
Well,
want.
let's see.